Good morning, everybody. It is Monday, February 9th, 2026. This is a commissioners meeting. We're live in the City Hall Commissioners Room, second floor. I'd like to call this meeting to order exactly 9 o'clock a.m. Would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing afterwards? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if we could remain standing for a moment of silence in recognition of the passing of Walter Brittingham. He was a longtime constituent and property owner in town and former commissioner, in fact, a champion of transparency and monitoring of city government, and a longtime volunteer fireman. So we'd like to extend our condolences to his family and recognize that all of the things that he did for the city of Rehoboth Beach, and so this moment is for Walter. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Taylor. Thank you, everybody. We'll start off with a roll call, and rather than do the roll call, we'd like the record to reflect that the mayor and all the commissioners are present. Therefore, we have a quorum and are formally able to conduct business today. I would like to thank, well, let's also recognize Marco Avila, City Manager Taylor Tedder, City Solicitor Lisa Bourne-Ogden, and all Assistant City Manager Evan Miller, and Communications expert Brooke Thaler. Thank you all for being here. Would like to thank everybody that's watching virtually. I also like to thank everybody that's in person. Welcome. As you know, we do welcome comments, and there's rules at the bottom of the agenda. And also want to remind everybody that support documents, those are documents that support each individual agenda topic when they're ready ahead of the meeting, are embedded into the agenda so that you can see what we're working from. With that, I'd like to make note that there's been 2 pieces of correspondence received related to the budget. We'll get to them later. And with that, we'll move on to approval of minutes. We have 37 minutes. We're playing catch up. We're doing very well. We have 37 sets of minutes in front of us. I'm not going to read them all. They are listed in the agenda. And are there any corrections to any of those sets of minutes? Even though you may not have attended one or more of these meetings, you are entitled to vote, and we would like you to vote. Since there are no corrections to be made, I'd like to entertain a motion to adopt and approve the 37 sets of minutes before us.
So motioned. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve 37 sets of minutes in front of us. With that, if there are any questions, if not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, and those sets of minutes are approved. Thank you very much. With that, we're going to move right on to the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. Good morning. I would like to announce that the city has now created a page on our website at rehobothbeachde.gov/code-enforcement in which you can submit code enforcement concerns in a fillable form on that website page, and it allows you to upload a photo, provide a description of the concern, and sign the complaint formally and submit it on the website. So we do have that. Staff has been continuing to research more holistic solutions to code enforcement concerns, among other things like permitting, with some of the vendors that we're familiar with, and we'll have more to report on that later. And that concludes my report for today. Thank you.
Would you
Thank you.
repeat the website?
Any questions?
Yeah, it's rehobothbeachde.gov/code-enforcement.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Good?
upon arrival here, I was handed an additional amendment to the charter, which actually I don't have a major problem with, but I think it's a personal vendetta by Commissioner Stewart. But regardless, we were so focused recently on proper notice to the public. There's nowhere in the agenda that I have been given by Ms. Womack and Marco where we make reference to the ability to bring up additional amendments to the charter. So I feel we have not given, in this case, proper notice. I've always thought 7 days is sufficient for the public, but the problem is here, we're playing loosey-goosey with our own rules. And I'm very concerned about this. Why some amendments are treated differently than others? Because draft 5 has been available to the public since Monday afternoon, February 2nd. That was 7 days ago.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Galante?
a question for the city manager.
Yes.
And I assume that this will be included in a subsequent city manager report, but I understand that there was a bad accident on the corner of State Road, Grove and Munson over the weekend. That seems to be a bit of a hotspot. Since we've lived on Munson Street, I think there have been at least 6 or 7 accidents on that intersection. So in the city manager report in 2 weeks, if we could get some details on that.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we'll move on to the city solicitor's report. Lisa? Oh, I'm sorry. Commissioner Thayer?
Yeah, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank the city manager for putting the form on the website. It's something we had requested you to do just 1 meeting ago, and I appreciate you making this a priority and getting this on the website. You did share with me some other software that you're looking at, what you've used, I believe, at Boulder City. So I look forward, as you said, I look forward to future improvements. So again, thank you.
Thank you, and I would be remiss if I didn't provide the credit to our communications manager and the code enforcement team. So thank you. Oh, and Aaron, yes.
All right, Lisa?
No report, Mayor.
All right, we're going to move on to old business. Discussion and possible consideration of amendments to the Charter of Rehoboth Beach. Changes of the charter do not follow the path of creating new ordinances nor making amendments to current ordinances. So I'd like to start with our own city solicitor explaining the process for making changes to the charter, and then I'll have a follow-up.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. As you all are aware, we've been talking about this for some time, and the reason we've been talking about it is because any changes to the charter require legislative action at the General Assembly and then approval by both bodies and a signature by the governor.
Thank you. So there's an accompanying support document entitled Draft Bill Amending Rehoboth Charter. This draft, it's a Senate bill, includes a synopsis of 13 specific changes and mention of additional technical corrections, such as editing outdated language, and that is all explained in the synopsis. A separate handout was made late to provide reference to line numbers and to make 2 corrections that will be clarified during discussions. That was sent to the commissioners, and it is provided to the public out with the agenda. Because of the importance of each of the proposed changes, we will have Lisa highlight each of the amendments, including any explanations for how it was derived. And then we will have the opportunity for commissioner discussion to accompany each proposed change individually. When the list has been concluded, I will then ask commissioners if they have any other additional substantive amendments not already noted and to be proposed. At that point, I will ask for public comment for the collection of proposed changes. Individuals can then comment on any or all of the changes discussed and/or comment on the piece of legislation in its entirety. At the conclusion of public comment, I'll bring the conversation back to the commissioners, and discussion and votes can occur on each of the amendments individually. So there'd be at least potentially up to 13 votes, but there is a correction or two to the synopsis, and we'll entertain that during the conversation. So we'll continue with Lisa. If you will start with presenting each of the proposed changes, and we'll give the commissioners the opportunity to respond one at a time.
Thank you, Mayor. The synopsis, as you all know, at the back of the piece of legislation, a synopsis is not legislation. The synopsis is in fact just an intent to determine where the intent of the legislation, what has been changed, what has been added, things like that. So the fact that there are, that's what we're using is just as a guide, so that it's sort of easier to follow. I draw your attention to line 36, which eliminates the mileage reimbursement for non-resident commissioners. I'll wait for questions, and if there are no questions, I'll move on. No.
Chris and then Patrick. Commissioner Galante?
Yeah, I believe I am the only non-resident commissioner currently on the Board of Commissioners. And while I have never submitted a expense report for mileage reimbursement, I think we need to think about this change and the potential disincentive that it would create for non-residents. If you had an instance where a city resident was elected who was living full-time in another location, it is like a business trip to come here. And every company provides mileage reimbursement for employees who are going on business trips. I think it's important to keep this. I know that it has been used in the past by a number of commissioners, and I think it, like I said, I think it provides a disincentive for non-residents running for election.
Response?
Yes, thank you.
Or Commissioner Gossett, go ahead.
Thank you. Yes, I concur with Commissioner Galante. As I when I'm serving as a non-resident commissioner years back, I did utilize this, and at that point in time, I was the one when we changed the charter amendment at that time, that it was increased from 10 cents a mile to the rate set by the Internal Revenue Service. So again, I think that this option needs to be left in as an incentive for individuals of non-residential commissioners to utilize when they deem necessary.
Mr.
Thank you.
Mayor.
If I may, so staff did look at if this had been utilized since 2020, and we didn't see that it had been utilized since 2020, but perhaps before that is the time frame.
The hair.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Good.
Commissioner Good.
I normally wouldn't be against this mileage reimbursement, but since the annual salary for us at the moment, and looks to be for some years to come because of the current composition of the board, is $600 a year, it then becomes the case that this mileage would represent more than the total annual salary. So it would sort of subsidize the person's probably already planned trips, long weekends at the beach, especially since our meetings are on Fridays and Mondays for that reason, to convenience second homeowners and others for whom the weekend is an easier time to attend. So I think at this juncture, given the lack of willingness to bring our salaries in line with other towns with budgets now in excess, unfortunately, of $50 million, that we should not be reimbursing mileage for some commissioners. It would create inequities that at this point we just don't need.
Mayor?
Commissioner Saunders?
I just want to remind everybody that several years ago, we had a candidate who was running who lived in Florida. And so would we be reimbursing their airplane flight, or if they drove from Florida, all of those miles? I mean, I think there needs to be some sort of cap on it if we're going to have to, I understand like coming from DC or someplace reasonable, but what do we do if we had a Florida resident who would fly back and forth at hundreds of dollars per trip?
Commissioner
Yeah,
Thier?
I think Commissioner Saunders brings up an excellent point, which is there probably needs to be, I'm not opposed to leaving this in here, but there needs to be a cap, right? Under Commissioner Saunders' scenario, if we're paying for somebody to fly to 2 meetings a month, it could be tens of thousands of dollars.
Taylor, or Patrick, do you remember what, from DC, say a 3-hour drive, it'd be the same from Philadelphia?
119 miles.
Or 19 miles? Do you remember?
119 miles. So if you would indicate, a maximum of 150 miles per trip, 125 miles per trip, I think that cap would be acceptable. That's kind of Philadelphia, Washington, which would be the primarily draw, Wilmington, perhaps.
So do it perhaps a cap by mileage rather than dollar amount.
Correct. Even if you fly, whatever this 2,000 miles, it's 150 miles max.
Commissioner Stewart?
I draw a distinction between someone who takes a job where they live and then has to go out of town on a business trip versus someone who accepts a job that is 119 miles or whatever away from them. I mean, that's a personal choice. I don't see why the city should have to reimburse that.
Any further comments on resolving this? Chris, do you agree?
I support the cap that has been put on the conversation. I mean, I recognize that there should be limitations on this. I think the example that Commissioner Saunders gave was reasonable. To Commissioner Stewart's point, I mean, yes, we voluntarily accept this position, but the charter allows for non-residents to be commissioners, and there are some commissioners who, future commissioners who will be living full-time somewhere else. And, like I said, I have never submitted a reimbursement, and probably won't be. But there are probably situations where people will be living somewhere full-time, somewhere else, and coming down here twice a month, and I think it's reasonable to be reimbursed for that time, that expense, when they would not otherwise be planning on coming to Rehoboth.
Taylor or Patrick, can you put a dollar value on 150 miles by any chance?
I would say, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Well, let's let them
So
respond. and
it
then-
is,
then I'll come back.
it's 70 cents per mile is the current IRS rate. So if it's 150 miles, that's $105 a trip.
You have to double it round trip.
Yeah, so I'd recommend if we're going to do this, just do miles.
Give you the floor.
Thank you. Just do miles, right? With a charter, I don't want to come back and change this charter during my entire, the rest of my tenure being a commissioner, whatever that is, right? Whether it's another year, or whether it's another 30 years, okay? So just do miles, then it can automatically adjust based on the federal mileage rate.
I agree
keep
with
it
you, but I
simple.
still think there's value in knowing what
Understand.
What does that
Understand.
interpret to dollars?
So yes,
Because
each trip,
it's
round trip would
Fairly
be
good amount of.
$210 round trip.
Mr. Mayor?
Forgive me, Mayor. I want to be clear, though, how this piece of legislation goes to members of the General Assembly. And so it is my understanding this is one of the provisions that members of the General Assembly are not particularly comfortable with. I'm not going to speak for them in their entirety, but that has been one of the discussions. And so I think we could agree to whatever it is you all want to agree, but remember, it may not go past the members of the General Assembly.
Mr. Mayor?
Commissioner Good?
So I have heard Ms. Ogden make a statement about her perception of what the members of the Assembly up in Dover think. But the last time this happened, with her telling us about a letter from the town of Lewis to ClearSpace, it was phantom and fabricated. So,
Suzanne,
I
that
think-
breaches, I'm sorry, that breaches the civility thing. When you're
we're
gonna do
being
something like that,
influenced as to how.
Stay to the
receptive-
topic.
Okay, I don't want to be influenced as to how the members of the Assembly in Dover will receive this. I want to do what's sensible for a Board of Commissioners where the annual salary has not been changed since the 1980s. So why would we want to encourage and subsidize those who don't live in the city to run for office? If all of you are hell-bent on all this virtue signaling that this is a volunteer position and all of the things you've said, a lot of you have said, which means the salary will not be raised in my time on the board, I'm fairly certain. I think it's just complicates matters to have this incentive to people who are second homeowners and run for office. It defies common sense to me to give, in fact, the mileage, Mr. Tedder gave us the one way, it's more like 240 miles round trip from, say, the DC area. That would far exceed the annual salary. So we're sort of changing the incentives, and I don't think I need it to be told on the one hand back in September that this is, I absolutely think this is a volunteer position, and then to be throwing the IRS mileage rate at homeowners, property owners here who are in office, for whom a long weekend at the beach has some appeal anyway. It smacks of what happened with the DC Metro Board, where the members of the board weren't paid all that much, but they were being reimbursed. It turned, ironically, they weren't taking the DC Metro to get to the meetings. They were being reimbursed for mileage and a meal and expenses to attend meetings. It was a bit of a scandal in DC about 10 years ago. So I thought we were making this charter change, and I hope we do ask Dover to make this charter change for us.
Thank
Mayor,
you.
if I could,
I'd
please.
like to bring to closure this, because remember, we're going to go to the public and come back to us. Do you have a closing comment?
No, go ahead, go to the public.
No, we're not doing that now. They
Okay,
come
all
at
right,
the
so-
end, all right? So but I haven't.
Could move on to the
I
next
haven't
Yeah, let me
item.
just,
I
so
haven't
I'll
voiced-
just make one final
I
comment
haven't
on this.
voiced my opinion yet, and that's that I'm comfortable with what's in the synopsis.
Yeah, so I'm back to, I don't know where I was originally, but I agree with the decision to remove it, so just as is.
Okay, so again, our process, we're going to go through, say, 13 of these items with our discussion. Then we're going to go to the members of the public and let them comment on one or more of those. And hopefully we glean more feedback from them at that time. Them, David. All righty.
Okay, moving on to the
number
next
two.
item, line number 41. This has been a topic of conversation already today. This updates the process for fixing the salaries of the commissioner and the mayor by allowing the commissioners to fix the salaries by ordinance. That means that at any point in time, an ordinance can be passed. It does not need to wait, as the charter indicates, until the first meeting following the election. It does, however, consistent with the Constitution, state that the ordinance to increase salaries may not take effect earlier than 6 months after the ordinance is adopted or at the next election. We can, however, have all of the salaries be the same by virtue of them all being changed at the next election, whether or not you were elected or whether you were reelected or whether you were not up for election.
Any comments?
Just one.
So again,
Mr. Saunders has a comment.
there is what's in front of us, and then Lisa just offered an amendment to. Commissioner Saunders?
I just want to say thank you. I think that it's important that all these salaries be the same at any given time, which was different from the original, and so I appreciate that change, so thank you.
You're favoring the amendment, if you will.
Mr. Mayor?
Commissioner Good?
I have recently discovered that the town of Milton raise salaries in a meeting on, I believe, September 8th, 2025, and it took effect October 1st. So we don't want to be having Senator Huxtable requesting charter changes to Rehoboth Beach every year. I mean, look how much time and resources this has taken already. So I think that this, if and when the Board of Commissioners were to adopt an ordinance increasing the salaries of the Board of Commissioners, which are currently like $600 annually, $750, I believe, for the secretary, and maybe one other role, and $1,000 a year for the mayor, which is far lower than communities all across the state, all across the nation, for towns making budget decisions of the magnitude we're making, that it should take effect immediately because of common sense, because we're magnitudes lower than other communities. So it makes no sense to have another 6-month waiting period or until the next election. And the next election language is lacks clarity here, because there always is this concern that it's a throwback to the previous version of the charter, which talked about that no commissioner could make a decision on that would affect his or her salary during his or her term, even though in U.S. Congress this happens all the time, particularly with senators who have a 6-year term, but even with Congress, members of the House of Representatives. So I hope we can change this to be effective sooner than the 6 months, so that in the event this is ever sensibly adopted, that is a salary hike for commissioners, we could take action more quickly than another waiting period. Thank you.
Mayor, if I may, the charter language as amended requires that any increase in compensation be prospective, meaning 6 months after the adoption or the start of the term following the next regular election. This reference operates as a timing safeguard to prevent a governing body from using its legislative power to grant itself an immediate pay raise. The 6-month period functions as a cooling off provision to ensure that the compensation changes are deliberate, stable, and subject to sustained public scrutiny, and that they may be evaluated in the context of the city's budgetary cycle. I don't know what Milton is doing, but per the Delaware
I don't know what you're
Constitution.
doing.
No, you don't have the floor.
I will need
Come on,
the floor after
Suzanne,
Ms.
you do
Ogden
not
has
have the
spoken,
floor.
please.
As I said, Commissioner, I do not know what Milton is doing. I do know what our Constitution would require, and thus that is, as the city solicitor, the recommendation that I'm making.
Mr. Mayor?
Now you may have the floor.
I believe the 6 months was chosen randomly. There's nothing in the towns across the country don't figure out some way to delay something. It's ironic that we have the entire, Mr. Tedder advocating for the staff of this, of City Hall for all sorts of raises and aspects like health insurance and pension and whatever it is, and it takes effect April 1st, having been discussed from January through March and having been adopted in March. It takes effect with pay periods beginning April 1st of that same year. So why are we giving special treatment? I mean, I'm ready to give up but I think it's sad that we are inventing things as we go, that somehow we need this cooling off period or waiting period for the Board of Commissioners, but we never need it for anyone else.
Thank
It
you.
seems like unequal treatment to me.
Thank you, Suzanne. Anybody else? If not, we'll move on to the third item.
Number 3, I would like draw your attention to line 102. This removes the mayor's civil and criminal jurisdiction because Rehoboth Beach has an alderman and assistant alderman with civil and criminal jurisdiction. I would request that when we do vote, that we do add a line following the conclusion of line 113 for clarity, although it is enshrined in Delaware statute, that notwithstanding the foregoing, the mayor is authorized to solemnize marriages within the city.
Any comments? Number 4,
Number 4 and 5, as you can see, reading through the line 126, this seems to be just an error, sort of conflating two positions. So we'll remove number 4, we'll remove number 5 from the synopsis. It changes nothing in the body of the legislation.
thank you.
Number 6, for violating an ordinance, this increases the maximum fine from $500 to $2,500 and removes the penalties of imprisonment and being ordered to work while imprisoned.
Any question? Commissioner Gossett?
Yes, could you explain or help me understand here, line 126, as it says, if the mayor fails...
Line number?
126.
126, hold on a second.
Okay.
Forgive me, I'd already moved ahead. Okay.
Sorry.
If the mayor fails, yes.
If the mayor fails to deliver the records or pay over the monies as required by paragraph, et cetera, before, in a period of 5 days, what monies does the mayor possess, or how does the mayor have access to monies in the city?
I think that's a very good point. Perhaps we ought to remove that section and just the delivery of the records, because I think that, again, this all goes back to a time when the mayor did collect monies. He no longer does that. I would imagine we could remove this entire section because the records are now required to be retained for FOIA and for record retention.
Lisa, define what deleting this section means. Are you talking about lines 126 to
126 through 130. 130. Well, yes, and that continues to 136. Yes.
Beginning, if you go back up, though, to line 123, it also states, "The mayor shall also pay over to the treasurer all monies in the mayor's hands belonging to the city." Again, my question is, what monies does the mayor hold?
There are no monies that the
I
mayor
think it would be
holds.
most appropriate to remove any reference to monies, because we would still want the records, books, papers, documents to be returned and have a penalty for that if it was not returned, but the mayor does not have any involvement with any monies or payments related to the city. I think it's an outdated provision.
Can you
Yes.
work on what the part of the motion would be when we get to that point?
Yes.
Are you okay, Patrick?
So far? Sure.
So far?
Okay.
Yep.
That's number
All right.
6. Number 7?
7, line 141, it discusses the discussion that we had at the last meeting wherein the auditor of accounts and updates the auditor of accounts section to require the appointment of an independent auditor who may be an individual or a firm to serve for a 5-year term. It would prohibit reappointment of an auditor until the expiration of 5 years since the auditor had last served, and it no longer required the auditor to be a substantial freeholder in Rehoboth Beach. It would also change the publication of the auditor's report from in the newspaper to the Rehoboth Beach website. This was the, I believe, the consensus from the meeting last.
Any questions? Comment?
Mayor, if I may, yes.
Commissioner Gossett?
Again, line 146, or 143, at each annual meeting, the commissioner shall appoint. And then later it stays in 146, the auditor serves for a term of 5 years. So help me understand, if we appoint this auditor at each annual meeting, but they serve for a term of 5 years, I'm not clear as to how that works. And also, if we are not pleased with the actions of the auditor during that 5-year period, this does not provide us with any opportunity to dismiss that auditor and resolicit another auditor during that 5-year period. So that's the first question. And then also, there's no reference in here, and there has not been, but we have a standing audit committee that works in relation with an auditor, an outside independent auditor. So again, if we are reworking this, if the audit committee is a standalone that could exist outside of the charter, if we could have a definition of that. If you could help me understand how that works together and the aspect of appointing an auditor for 5 years but not having an option to exit that contract, if you will.
I think it could be remedied by saying up to 5 years. So there's the difference between our auditing firm that we hire, such as the auditors that prepare our audit today, versus the audit committee. The audit committee is not spelled out in the charter.
Correct, it's not. But
And that was we intended to prevent that from occurring. We're not going to spell out the audit committee in the
Right.
charter. By virtue of this language, you are within your right to fire the auditor. There is not the auditor is, if you are not satisfied with the auditor, you can certainly take that action. But I think the point of this shall appoint an independent auditor of accounts each year is similar to the organizational meeting, so that everybody is clear as to who's going to be serving through the course of the year. If you'd like that removed, that's certainly an opportunity as well.
I just bring the point up because to me, it's a bit confusing. And again, we're having the opportunity to change this, so I just offer that maybe my fellow commissioners have some alternate language, or if they do not share the same concern, then I'm happy to pass on this comment.
Anybody?
Hearing none.
Commissioner Stewart?
Couldn't it be addressed by simply saying that for a term of up to 5 years, the auditor serves at the pleasure of the commissioners for a term of up to 5 years or no longer than 5 years?
Yes.
And do we also reference in here at some point that this is a certified public accountant or meets the requirements of a Delaware authority? I don't know if we need to, but in looking at language in other municipalities, there is referred of a Delaware licensed certified public accounting or accounting firm. So again, I don't think that is a reference, or it's because it is a Delaware Senate-approved bill, House-approved bill, that's implicit or not.
I can inquire. I think the intent would be that it is a Delaware licensed public account.
Okay,
So we will,
If that's the intent and
Yes.
it's believed to be, that's fine, but it is not mentioned in ours, and just looking at other municipals within the state, they do spell out that criteria.
okay. Number 8, removes the minimum valuation for real estate improvement subject to assessment, line 407.
Line number again, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, 407. We're skipping around just a little bit as a result of all the changes that have been made.
So it was,
$1,000.
minimum
It is-
valuation was $1,000 improvements, and now it is,
It removes that amount.
oh, just, okay.
Okay, back to line 176. Adds the option for Rehoboth Beach to adopt county assessments for municipal tax purposes in compliance with Chapter 11 of Title 22 of the Delaware Code, should you so choose.
And again, that is just giving us the option. It's not debating it. It's not saying that if it is, the charter change is approved, that we have to use it. That would be a future debate. Commissioner Thayer?
Thank you. My preference would be that we just remove this, and there's a couple of reasons. One is, I'm just not sure that in the process of creating the assessed values, I'm just not sure the county's objectives and our objectives are ever going to fully align. They're going to assess for zones, say industrial, agriculture, and so on, that we never will. So I'm just not confident that our objectives will ever align. The second is the appeal process. So if we adopt the county's assessments, then our residents would have to appeal to the county. And the appeal process that people just went through, heard a lot of bad, a lot of negative feedback about the appeal process. So again, I have concerns, not just the negative feedback that I got, but again, since our objectives don't align, if a resident wanted to appeal, are they really appealing, with our objectives not aligning, are they going to get a fair appeal? I think since we've also included in here that we'll update our assessment every 5 years. So to the extent that we would have to comply with state law, then we're complying with that, whether it's state law or what the judge ruled, then we're at least complying with that. But I'd suggest that we just remove this altogether. I think it creates confusion. I just don't think we'll ever be in a situation where we're going to want to adopt the city's assessment. So I would say we just take it out.
Anybody else? Commissioner
Excuse me,
Stewart?
adopt the county's assessment.
I'm a strong proponent for allowing us to do this in the future and feel that we will have that debate at the time. And technically, residents would appeal the City of Rehoboth's assessment. However the city arrived at it, it would be an appeal to the City of Rehoboth.
Mr. Mayor?
We're like-minded. Commissioner Good?
Yeah, I concur with Commissioner Stewart. I think there will be some tweaking to the county's assessments because there's a number of people appealing it effective, I think the second or third week of January when that became an option ahead of the September 30th due date. So there'll be some modifications to some of the in-town assessments in the next couple years, but this gives us the option of avoiding this redundancy where we're hiring an assessor. And so we can evaluate how good a job the county does in some of the over-assessments that, some of which may have come about because we have some residents who took it upon themselves to go to the county and complain that, well, my assessment seems too high if you're only assessing this other person at this level, and managed to get the county to decide to raise the assessment on these neighbors, but keep the complainant's assessment the same. But I think that'll be straightened out in a couple years as more and more in-town residents go through the appeals process with the county, and it then long-term has the advantage of saving us some money because we would be replicating the county's work once that product is considered reliable.
Commissioner Saunders?
I just want to point out, though, I don't think that the county did a very good job on the City of Rehoboth Beach properties. I think they were highly inaccurate, and I certainly wouldn't want to rely on those figures. I think we know our city, and I think we would guide our assessors as we hire them to be more accurate than the county is. So I think just we get a better quality of work by not using the county.
Thank you. Anybody? Anybody? Okay.
Mayor, if I may, I also agree,
Gossett.
yes, thank you. I also agree that to have this option in the charter allows us in the future, 3 to 5 to 10 years, the assessing process is changing dramatically currently, the way it's done, especially with the focus that's happening in Newcastle County on regards to commercial properties versus residential properties and the taxing authority there. I think that's going to impact how assessments are viewed throughout the state. So this gives us the option to look at the county records or the county assessments if we choose to in the future. This does not demand it, but it certainly gives us the option to do that. On a parallel subject, though, I do feel very strongly that we should include in our charter that a reassessment, citywide reassessment, should be done at least every 5 years. That is what the state has focused for the 3 counties to do in their reassessments. So I think that we should follow along with including a citywide assessment every 5 years.
I thought that was in there. I think we discussed it before. Commissioner Stewart?
Focusing on line 178, so I was incorrect about the appeal process in this, but a question for the solicitor. Would I have standing if my assessment has been given to me by the City of Rehoboth? However, the city adopted the county. How do I have standing to go to use the assessment appeal process that is for people who are challenging a county assessment? Because technically, this is a Rehoboth assessment, even if it adopts the county numbers. So I don't know if that's going to cause problems
I would argue that it will not. There will be considerable documentation required for us to adopt the counties and thus for the individual to understand what the process will be. And so all of that will be spelled out by documentation, and I don't believe, it's my understanding that several other municipalities have incorporated the same language. So, you know, that we didn't adopt this on our own. This came from the General Assembly.
Thank you. Next.
Okay, let's go to line 206. We'll skip ahead one.
Synopsis number
11.
11.
So 206 changes the deadline for preparing the city budget from May to March and changes the deadline for levying annual taxes from June to March because Rehoboth Beach fiscal year begins on April 1st. And similarly, line 256 updates the deadline for certification of a quarterly supplemental tax list to match Rehoboth Beach's fiscal year of April 1st.
Are we all right?
Mayor, if I may,
Commissioner Gossett?
this is a question to the city manager with regards to changing this date, delivery to March. I'm assuming I know the answer to this question, but how does the staff react to that? If we are changing the dates of getting the assessment in March and then issuing the bills in March, just the logistics of doing this and whatever aspect of assessments we use, whether it be from the county or from currently continuing with the city, I'm just concerned that the ability of, if you will, bandwidth of staff, not that they're incapable of doing this, but a date change of this is just physically turning around this information, getting the bills out. And I don't know if that has been investigated or how this date change would actually impact the aspect of preparing accurate, timely bills to our taxpayers.
Sure, we're confident that this would work, yes.
Yes, we've discussed it with Donna and with Stephen.
All righty. Next. Go ahead.
Sorry, within that context then, on line 185, we talk about improvements located on land that has been leased under a valid lease recorded in the Sussex, for a term of 10 years, which has been recorded in the Sussex County Officer of Deeds. I'm just curious if someone can give me an explanation of why we are taxing the improvements on a leased property of 10 years or greater. Why does that distinction exist, that the tax for a lease of 10 years goes to the tenant as opposed to the property owner?
For example, the city leases a ground lease to a property on Rehoboth Avenue, so that actual improvement is then taxed under this. Lisa?
Yes, that is how we have operated thus far, and that is consistent with the language here.
Mayor,
Commissioner Good?
would you clarify, Mr. Tatter, are you talking about, say, the Chamber of Commerce or that then affects the monthly rent they're paying to the city if the property tax, the assessment of that property because of improvements made to it have risen? I'd like to understand how many cases are we talking about, and how quickly do you recalculate, say, the monthly rent for these entities leasing city property?
So the taxes don't have anything to do with the actual rent because it's a triple net lease. I'm not specifically talking about the Chamber of Commerce building. I'm talking about the building that houses Snyder's Candy. But yeah.
I mean, we're talking about just a few unusual cases where the city owns the property.
Correct. There could be others that I'm unaware of that are privately owned that have a land lease, but I would assume it's something you can count on one hand.
Thank you.
All right,
Okay,
thank you, Lisa. Number
moving
12.
on, this is several, beginning line 374, removes the commissioner's power to regulate the observance of the Sabbath day, to establish and regulate pounds, prohibit or impound wild or domestic animals, and impose taxes on dog owners at line 375, and collect a per capita tax on all persons who are qualified to vote in the annual municipal election, line 528, considered a poll tax.
Any questions? Nope. Number 13.
Changes the cap, line 527, I'm sorry, changes the cap on real estate taxes from 3 million to 0.1% of the fully assessed value of all real estate located in Rehoboth Beach.
Line number again on it?
527.
Commissioner Stewart?
I'm sorry, you mentioned this before, but I've forgotten. What value is that today as a snapshot? Not the value of the real estate, but what's the 0.1% of that? Like, what would the cap be today if this passes?
You want to answer?
It'll take me a second.
It's $3,575,134.
Say that again into the microphone.
It would be $3,575,134. So it would be an increase of $575,000 over what the cap is today.
Mr. Mayor?
What, did you want to?
That was correct.
And just
Commissioner
for clarity here, I believe the current amount of revenue collected is about 2.7 million, so we are about $300,000 below this cap. Mr. Mayor, you mentioned the 2 letters that were submitted. One of them missed the deadline by 22 minutes, and I would like to read some excerpts from it. I'm writing today, this is a property owner writing, I'm writing today to oppose any charter revisions which remove limits on real estate and borrowing for the city. I understand that the city has hit the limits on both. Well, we're, for the 75 million debt limit, we're in the low 60s. But our budget continues to rise at multiples of the going inflation rate. The existing charter was crafted carefully. It provides the taxpayer some protection of out-of-control spending at our expense. I believe we elect the Board of Commissioners to manage the city within reasonable fiscal constraints. Revenues to city have exploded and spending has followed a similar path. Even with doubling of real estate taxes, a new occupancy tax, a continued growth in permit fees and real estate transfer taxes, the city still had to borrow money for the lifeguard station. My editor's note, that was voted upon
Commissioner
contingent
Good.
on not borrowing money to fund it.
For
This was
Commissioner
a
Good,
couple
for
years
the
ago.
record,
But the
are you
city did
reading the
not
letter
have-
or are you
please let
agreeing
me
it?
finish, I have the floor. But the city did not have $25,000 to fund Deauville Beach, but had $1 million to hire a new city manager. There has been little fiscal constraint put in place to manage the city's budget. Now, some on the Board of Commissioners, editor's note, are thinking, the gentleman says, are thinking of giving $1 million to ClearSpace. That's for the capital campaign. Trust is earned. Constraints on revenue are put in city charters for a reason. Before raising revenues or removing caps, let's talk about why the revenues are needed. Show the voters the list of unfunded priorities. Each week, I read about new hires, increases in employee benefits, and more people lining up for free money grants. Money grants are not listed in the city charter. There is no cap on how much the Board of Commissioners can give away or how much the Board of Commissioners can give away to one entity, but there is no revision to charter to establish limits. The city needs to pause and take an unbiased look at how they are using the taxpayer and fee-generated revenues. I oppose removing caps on real estate taxes. So I have a letter to the editor of the Cape Gazette, which was published this past Friday, February 6th, expressing similar sentiments. I am aware that some new hotels and will be coming online, and that there will be continued renovations of houses, so there will be a run-up in assessed values on certain of the 3,400 parcels in our town. However, this is the only check taxpayers have on an out-of-control Board of Commissioners, which there's a litany of things we've done, including recently raising health insurance to 100% coverage, which is way above the municipal average of 82%.
Suzanne, you're off topic.
There's
Stay
been,
on topic.
spending is not, a lot of the spending is not done with any giving, it does not give any priority to spending taxpayers' money judiciously, carefully, and with some respect that taxpayers are not an infinite resource that we can tap.
Thank you,
So,
Suzanne. Let me ask-
and there's another letter to the posted to the agenda, which did miss the deadline, but will be posted to the agendas apparently maybe later today or tomorrow. So I hope people take a look at those.
Suzanne, for the letter that you read, do you agree with it, everything in it?
Well, the gentleman is actually on painkillers and told me that, he couldn't, he got there were a few typos and a few misstatements in it, but the overall gist of the letter talks about the way that this city has been mismanaged, especially in recent years.
All I asked was, do you agree with everything in the letter?
I agree with virtually everything in the letter. The only things I don't agree with, there were a few typos. For instance, he talked about the new mayor, where he meant to say the new city manager. So.
Thank you, Suzanne. The other thing is, you referenced the editorial. It's actually titled Rehoboth Property Tax Cap is Outdated. You referenced that. Do you also agree with everything in that?
No, my letter to the editor is different from the Cape Gazette's editorial board editorial. Very different.
I see, okay.
So, yeah, obviously I disagree with the Cape Gazette's editorial, and I believe that when the city manager told us these were best practices, these were staff recommendations, Mr. Tedder has an incentive to grow the budget, and he also, to soothe the resentment of his staff, has an incentive to grow their salaries and benefits. Because it's no secret that, as an example, I mean, no other city in this country has chosen to pay a city manager managing a $50 million budget at the level we are paying. So it's probably unaffordable to this town.
You're out of order. You're going too far. Are there anybody else that has any comments? I do want to reference again, you're right, you did a letter to the editor. This is an editorial by the Cape Gazette Editorial Board. Again, it's entitled Rehoboth Property Tax Cap is Outdated. I'm not going to read the whole thing. You can read it yourself. Commissioner Stewart?
Since the subject has arisen, I wanted to address both the letter to the editor and the Cape Gazette article. And the headline was attention-grabbing at a budget over $50 million, but it speaks to a lack of awareness or lack of care in describing accurately this budget. The city has three funds: the general fund, which is the operating fund of the city, where you'll find things like salary and the expenses, kind of like a household budget. That's the general operating fund. It has two enterprise funds which operate more as businesses, the water fund and the wastewater fund. The big increase in this budget this year is for capital expenditures, not operating expenses in the general fund. The general fund, in fact, has increased at slightly less than 2.8% for the year. That is not a $14 million increase. Those are capital expenditures, a big portion of which are related to the wastewater treatment fund, which were voted on by voters. So, while I understand why we want to grab headlines, what I don't understand is why a commissioner writes a letter to the editor that is woefully breathtakingly apparent that either don't understand the budget or simply trying to throw darts at the city.
Is there anybody?
Thank you, Mayor.
Anything with anything new?
Mayor, if I may, just for
Commissioner
consider.
Gossett?
Thank you. Just,
Yes, about the cap.
go ahead.
Go
I
ahead.
was just going to say that I'm for a cap of some sort, and I think it should be tied to the assessment as was recommended, which just brings up what assessment. We had talked earlier about the city assessment versus the county assessment. Another reason perhaps to stick with the city assessment. That's all.
Thank you. Commissioner Gossett?
Yeah, just as trying to add some facts to this issue of a tax cap, and just keep in mind that the city is growing. Between now and the next 2 years, we'll have an additional 3 hotels, which brings in 212 rooms to the city. We also have the Beach Walk development, which brings in 50-plus new homes to that development. There's infrastructure costs, et cetera, but again, adding to the tax base of the city. In the last 13 years, thanks to reporting from the Cape Gazette, Mr. Flood, we know that we've had 26 annual demolitions, 340 demolitions in the last 13 years. The average cost of the new homes sold in the last year, there were 77 homes sold in Rehoboth Beach, proper city of Rehoboth Beach, over the past 12 months, the calendar year 2025. The average selling price for the home is $2,320,000. These are based on figures provided by a local real estate agent. So again, we are increasing the tax base, and if we continue to have a dollar cap on the tax base, we have a lot more to take care of from the stance of Beach Walk, new hotels, new individuals coming to utilize our beach, utilize protection of our police, trash pickup, restroom cleaning, maintenance, expansion, et cetera. So I think that we really need to take a hard look at, as someone earlier stated, how we're using the money and where those tax revenues are coming from. Perhaps this is a time not also to look at this tax cap of a percentage basis, but also how the tax is collected based on either zoning or use. There are 2 different models that we have in the city. The city is zoned with commercial or residential. There are different statuses within those residential and commercial zonings. However, there's also use that we have that we actualize in the city of how the property is used, not necessarily zoned. So there's some questions there of how that's looked at. But I think that this is a first step in a process of, 1, allowing us to use a percentage basis for a cap, 2, instituting a 5-year citywide reassessment, and 3, then in the next 1 year or so, investigating how the properties are used and the taxes are assessed. That is one difference greatly between the county information and the city information, whether it's used as residential, or zoned as residential, used as commercial, or zoned as commercial. So these are questions to be looked at in the future, but I believe the first step is to set a tax cap based on a percentage of the assessed value of the city of Rehoboth Beach. Secondly, look at a 5-year citywide reassessment, and 3rd, then also investigate how the taxes are assessed from residential versus commercial.
If I may quickly, as a reminder to all of you, what is included in the charter governs your actions, but you're certainly, as you know, able to pass ordinances that change times. For example, you can institute a reassessment. You can do things. The problem with charter changes is that, as we know, they can only be done through the General Assembly. So I just urge you to remember that certain things can be done by ordinance.
Mr. Mayor.
Mayor, if I could, please.
Commissioner Good and then Commissioner Thayer.
So if this were maybe 2 years hence, I might see some justification in raising the cap from 3 million or potentially using a percentage. But because real estate taxes rose by almost 30% with the August 31st, 2024 bill. It just seems like, it does not seem like a prudent time to say to taxpayers, we now can find more ways to spend money and to have you cover what we decide to spend money on with your taxes. I do understand there will be additional properties coming online, which will be, will be paying property taxes. The problem is a lot of the things that are not in the budget but need to be, which include about, probably by now with inflation, over $1.5 million per year in stormwater repairs. In addition, we have, no one seems to want to talk about a canal boat dock, we were told, which could cost well over $2 million to shore up or to remove and then restore the embankment. I believe there are a lot of things that the budget has ignored. And I also see in many line items, we'll be discussing this afternoon, run-ups of as much as 60% in certain employee benefit expenses. So because of that, I just don't think it's the right thing to say we can always rely on taxpayers to close the gap on essential infrastructure, because that allows the board to continue to fund projects
Suzanne,
beyond our means.
Suzanne, you've strayed again. Thank you for your comments. At this point, Commissioner Thier.
Thank you. I want to come back to Commissioner Saunders' comment, and I don't see it in here, but I think it's very important. In the charter, we have language that says if we go to the county's assessment, the percentage is recalculated, and it's recalculated by taking whatever the cap is at that point in time, dividing it by that total new assessed value to reset the rate. And that needs to be in the charter. It needs to be in the charter because I don't want there to be any confusion or interpretation of what the intent was here today. Because as we know, if we adopt, I don't want to say as we know, but if we would adopt the county assessment today, the assessed values are significantly more than what the city's assessed values are. So all of a sudden, the cap could explode, and that, I'm not okay with that.
You're completely correct, and the commissioners set the tax rate every year. So
We don't set the cap every year.
So
And
the
that's what we're
cap
talking
is-
about.
The cap is dictated by the tax rate.
No. We're talking about, and again, just be clear, right? Because I think we're now kind of talking past each other. We're talking about what's in the charter, where we're setting a cap on the maximum amount of property taxes that the city can levy. And it's based on 0.1% of the total assessed value. Currently, we're using the total assessed value from the city's assessment, which is the 3.5 million. Thank you.
35,
What's that?
757.
Yep. So, but that's calculated based on the total assessed value in the city. Okay. 3 billion, right? 3.5 billion. Which is 3.5 billion. Okay. If we switch to the county's assessment, that's going to be significantly larger than that. So I don't want our cap to then explode because now we're going to take 0.1% of that significantly larger number. Okay, so we need to reset the commissioners decide to use the county assessment. Along with that, this percentage rate needs to automatically reset. And the reset of that, the calculation of that, is to take whatever the dollar value of the cap is. So, for example, if we pass this today at 0.1%, or if we accept this today at 0.1%, our cap is $3,575,134. So we take that amount at that time, divide it into whatever the county's total assessed property values are, and get our new rate. So just to be clear, that what is 0.1% today would end up being significantly less because the county's total assessed value is much higher than the city's current assessment, which is 3.5 billion.
Forgive me, Commissioner Thayer, but as a result of the percentage, we do not have a cap. And so.
I
the
understand,
point-
but we
well,
do. But we do, right?
Language-wise, forgive me, I'm just trying to be clear with the language that's present. The way it is.
So hold on, I'm going to stop you. So are you arguing that we should not do what I'm proposing?
No, I'm just trying to get the language.
Okay.
Correct. So I understand
So-
what we're
so-
saying, but as of this language, so the point being from the change to a cap of $3 million to 0.1% of the fully assessed value of all real estate is that we no longer have a cap, so that we are not running up against it, so that over time, we are allowed to function, basically.
Understand.
So
But
that is what, forgive me, so that is what this language says. We no longer have a cap, we have a percentage now.
Yeah.
So from there, please tell me how you would propose the language be changed, because you as commissioners would then determine whether there is county assessment or Rehoboth assessment. And I'm hesitant to say that we have two paths that are different by virtue of using the county versus Rehoboth. So I'm trying to figure out how to draft such language.
So, and this is probably more layperson's terms, but I would say something along the lines, if the commissioners use the county assessment, this rate, the 0.1%, would be recalculated based on the dollar value of that percentage at that time by dividing that dollar value by the county's total assessed.
Mr. Mayor?
Commissioner Stewart.
Respectfully, I understand your formula.
Mm-hmm.
This is simply, this is simply puts a ceiling on taxes, and your point is the ceiling would leap
Yes.
if this language stays, because the assessment would leap.
Yes.
I hear you. I think it's really unwieldy what you're proposing, and I think that we would still have to vote on taxes. This is simply, these are simply guardrails. A tax raise would simply we'd have to come look at this again. So I hear you that the guardrails got looser when we jumped to a county assessment, but I think that's really a clunky formula. So you want to do a ratio where the numerator is our assessment and the denominator is the county assessment, total.
Yep.
And then you want to take that rate and multiply it by that ratio. So if ours is 2/3 of the value of the county, you want to do 0.67 times 1%, or whatever. 0.1%.
Yep.
So it'll be 0.067.
Yep.
I get you. I just feel like if we enter an environment where we think the county assessments are legitimate, and frankly, remember, using the county assessments are going to save us time procedurally, that if they ever get so that they're doing robust, good things, and we like the county assessment, then presumably they would accurately reflect our values here. Is that a fair statement? We'd never adopt it if they were so out of whack, would we?
So let me answer that question this way, which is our assessments, right, were, when was our assessment done? It was done 10 years ago, 12 years ago? 14 years ago. Okay. So if you look at the I'm just going to take my house. If you look at the assessment, we can all do the same thing. If I would take the assessed value of my house, the city's assessed value, it's a fraction of what the county's assessed value is that I got last year. Okay, and that's really the point, right? So we could see what the city could tax in property taxes literally double overnight. And I appreciate what you're saying with guardrails, but I also look at this from, the perspective of it's really kind of more than guardrails, right? We have to, as commissioners, we have to have, we have to have that limit out there that is, okay, we're only allowed to tax so much. So what are we going to do? That is something that in some ways kind of forces us to control our expenses. Let me stop there.
Mr.
I
Mayor?
just want to say, this is a charter, and I think having a charter with a formula in it is really weird. So let's just say we all get reassessed by the city, and they're really high. We'd still have to come up back here and to set the tax rate. So, charters are like foundational rules, and, so that would be my point.
I would also highlight that the language is may. So you are, may not exceed. So that is not a shall, would be a more stringent use of the language.
Mr. Mayor?
Commissioner Good?
Yeah, I believe this is a dangerous precedent. We are codifying a percentage at a time when, yes, there probably will be reassessments in the city, or it's possible to avoid this redundancy. Once we find the county assessments become reasonable after hundreds and hundreds of appeals apparently that they're dealing with. But regardless, all of this. We have the ability possibly to reduce the tax rate if we hit up against the $3 million. We're still $300,000 away from it at this point. So to me, this is just a way of almost ensuring that the property owners will be bearing more of a burden in this city of an ever-increasing budget. And in spite of what Commissioner Stewart has said recently, I absolutely understand the budget. I do understand that the upgrades in the wastewater treatment plant Phase 4, which were previously approved, do get covered in large part by the county because the county's flows to that plant have increased ineluctably given the building just west of us. I do understand that, but I'm looking at so many other budget items which have gone up by double digits, sometimes in excess of 20%, that this is just scary. We need to keep the cap in place. It's a reasonable cap for the next 3 to 5 years, given that we just raised property taxes effective August 31st, 2024. And it scares me that this is the direction this mayor and this city manager want to take the city, to make sure they have access to more taxpayer resources.
Thank you, Suzanne. Patrick?
Mayor, if I may, just a further comment on Commissioner Stewart's comment about setting the tax rate. When we last reassessed, a citywide reassessment was in 2014. At that time, our tax rate was $1.78 per 100 in value. The next year, after the reassessment in 2015, the tax rate was changed to 4 cents per 100. So that is the availability of setting the tax rate in effect to reach a 1% fully assessed value of the real estate. So the assessment gives us the figure to work with, but then we, as the commissioners, set the tax rate. And it can go down to as 0.001% of per $100 in value. So I do believe that with the forthcoming development and of 3 hotels in the city, potential development of other projects within the city in a public or rather a private development aspect, and also with Beach Walk coming on with 50-plus homes in that it is prudent for us to set this tax rate, tax cap based on a percentage of 0.1% at this time. And then we have the ability to set the tax rate annually to depend on what revenues the city needs. Also a reminder that the tax is the only guaranteed revenue that the city has. All other revenue sources are based on use. Parking meters, hotel tax, rental tax, all of that is based on use. And with the current economic situation in the country, who knows what that's going to have an impact on us in the coming years. So again, I think for the ability to, with the ability to set the tax rate in conjunction with the assessed value, that we do need to support a 0.1% assessed value of the city.
Thank you. I'd like to move on, because remember, we'll be coming back to this. At this point, we've reviewed everything on the synopsis sheet, and I would like to ask for commissioners if they have any additional substantive amendments to bring them forward. Susan, no, you did a handout. Patrick, I don't know if you want to address the reassessment every 5-year program, but anyhow, this is their opportunity to bring these up. Commissioner Stewart?
Thank you, Mayor. So I'm proposing amendment that will add a provision to the charter which would make ineligible people who had, oh, sorry.
Do you have extra copies of those?
I do. I gave one to Marco. Yeah,
You have one for Dave?
I think I do. In fact, yeah.
You have one for Chris also?
I don't have one for Chris. And Mayor, and Commissioners, I brought this up when we first talked about charter changes, and I thought there was kind of broad support for it, at least no strenuous objections. I don't know why it didn't make it into the changes in chief, but I'm seeking an amendment that is before you, in which Marco is going to add to the public record, that would preclude spouses, domestic partners, cohabitants of a current board of commissioners to people who reside in the same household or share financial interest in properties, preclude them from running and serving as commissioner. And the section 15-4 changes titled ineligibility based on familial or cohabitation relationships. I can read the whole thing. It is before you, but it seeks to be broad in scope, getting at sort of the heart of a conflict of interest. So you don't have two people who are sort of bound by marriage or domestic partnerships or financial entanglements.
Susan, I don't think you need to read it in
Okay.
entirety, but you might read A, 1, 2, and 3,
Okay.
just for the members
So
of the virtual group.
Section 15-4, titled Ineligibility Based on Familial or Cohabitation Relationships. A, no individual shall be eligible for election or appointment to the Board of Commissioners if, 1, they are the spouse, domestic partner, or cohabitant of a current member of the Board of Commissioners, or 2, they reside in the same household as a current member of the Board of Commissioners, or 3, they share a financial interest in the property or properties with a current member of the Board of Commissioners. And then it goes in to define the terms. And my material also has a proposal for an affidavit of eligibility that prospective candidates would sign and attest to that they do not have any of these enumerated conflicts. So I propose that we also include that in these charter changes, and I would like to hear from other commissioners and the public.
Anybody feedback? Commissioner Saunders?
So that Susan doesn't get all the credit, I agree with her, and I had also talked to parties to be endorsing the same type of thing, so I'm glad that we wrote something up. Thank you.
And Mayor, before I apologize, I mean, Hoyt Decker supplied most of this material, I presume, and I wanted to thank him, and I meant to do it when I commented.
Anybody else?
Mr. Mayor?
Commissioner Good?
Well, I'm surprised this has been brought back. There's a problem in that there's no such prohibition in the U.S. Congress. So I know that, this is targeted specifically at me. My husband regrets running and has no further interest in that. But be that as it may, we're disenfranchising people based on whom they've chosen to marry, live with, or have financial relationships with. Why would we want to do that? It's similar to where we weren't willing to let irrevocable trust holders, maybe with a limitation of just one representative in an irrevocable trust, because we don't want to, we're preventing them from voting. So here we're limiting the options to certain people in this town, and I think it's micromanagement. Let the voters decide if they have a problem with, say, one person in the household is an attorney, one's a CPA, and they're both interested in civic engagement. But at this point, I'm more worried about the budget than I am about this amendment. Fine, if the majority want this to be enshrined in the in Rehoboth Beach's charter, I'm not going to fight it.
Commissioner Saunders?
Can I just remind everybody, there's only 7 seats here. If we can't find 7 seats in this city of people that aren't married to each other, something's wrong.
All right.
Small population.
Is there anybody else that wants to bring something forward
Mr. Mayor, can I comment on this?
on this topic?
Yeah, on this provision that
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart has raised.
Commissioner Galante?
I think I might be a little bit of an outlier on this one. I've had this conversation with Hoyt. I believe that the power is with the electorate. I do not support a prohibition on spouses or domestic partners serving on the same elected board. I understand some of the concerns that have been raised, but I believe that such a restriction ultimately stymies democracy and takes power away from the electorate. I've never been for term limits. I think the power is with the electorate, and I don't support this provision. Voters should have the freedom to choose the individuals that they believe will best represent them regardless of their household relationships.
Right. Thank you. Commissioner Thier?
Yeah, no,
Was it this topic?
this topic, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to say, I agree with Commissioner Stewart and Commissioner Saunders' comments. Leave it at that.
Thank
So
you.
thank you.
We're moving beyond this topic then to anybody else have anything that they want to propose for the inclusion and consideration of inclusion in the charter changes?
Yes, Mayor. As I mentioned before, and I'm not sure of where in the charter it should be, but that to institute a 5-year citywide reassessment to be included in the charter.
Do you recall the county and what their parameters are? Were they going to
Well, they were
direct
They were directed by court order for the state that each county shall conduct a countywide reassessment every 5 years.
5 years, so we would
Correct.
be matching that, which seems appropriate.
Correct.
Lisa, do you know where that would be?
No, but I just wonder whether, as a result of it being enshrined in state law, that would be a requirement for us as well, without inclusion in the charter. But
I would question that, just in the sense that could be, in the
certainly
future
could be
questions.
changed, yes,
yeah,
agreed.
that-
Okay, so if that is we'll vote on that, and then we'll ask the General Assembly where in this legislation it would go.
I mean, it's directed by court order of the court order of the reassessment statewide. One of the conditions of that was a 5-year reassessment.
Mr. Mayor?
Commissioner Good?
I will preface this by saying I wasn't aware that additional amendments were an option today, because the public has had access to this laundry list of 13 or 14 items for a week, whereas this is being sprung on the public. But since that's the way we want to roll, I would like to see a $1 million borrowing limit being imposed. We need a moratorium on new borrowing. What happened with the lifeguard station, which was supposed to be financed from the general fund over a 2-year period? I voted against borrowing $5.5 million for that project, wanting to cut spending instead. I believe the $6 million limit on borrowing imposed on the board has not been sufficient. We're too close to our $75 million debt limit. I would like to reduce that in the charter from $6 million down to $1 million. That would be a great way to try to stem we've opened the floodgates to all sorts of special interests and projects, and it needs to stop. So $1 million from $6 million.
All right, thank you. Any comments? If not, we have gone through the synopsis, item by item. We have 3 new proposals in front of us. As I indicated at the beginning, we would be entertaining a motion on each one of those. But first, we're going to go to the members of the public. Dave, I'm not going to give you a set time constraint right at this point. Do you have the synopsis sheet in front of you so you're able, because we would, you're representing all the voters in town, not to put any pressure on you, but go ahead, remember to identify yourself. And
Good morning. Dave Diefendorfer, city resident. I want to thank you all for your service to the city. A lot of spirited debate up here, a lot of great comments on across the board. You guys did good, and you're looking at this stuff and making the city proud. So just a couple things here. I'll start with number 1. The first item on there is the mileage reimbursement. So I think it's reasonable to have a mileage reimbursement. I really do. Pick a number, 200, 300, whatever we come up with. I think it's reasonable. I don't want to eliminate, I agree with you, I don't want to eliminate a good candidate that says, I am just not doing this because I live in New York and I'm just not driving down here. I'm not paying this expense. So I think it's something to think about. Just to bring another item into that. So I was in the Naval Reserve for 32 years. I did not get paid to travel to across the country. Had to bill it in Hawaii. Had to pay my own flights, my own hotels, my own car, my own food. The Army has done it for years where they give about $300 a year. Finally, in my 31st year, the Navy adopted, they would give me a maximum of $300 to travel when you're in a certain position, a position equal to what the commissioners are. So $300 didn't go very far, but it was better than nothing. So I just think you ought to think about that. The second item, the salaries for the commissioners. So I agree with, I think you should be paid a little more. I brought this up probably a year ago. I think I might have been the first person to say it. I have no idea. But I brought it up. I just think you're spending a lot of time here to be prepared, as you all are when you come here. It takes time, and I think it's reasonable. I don't know what that value should be. I don't think it should be $10,000. I don't think it should be $50,000. I think it should be more than $600. There needs to be something that you guys get paid for what you do. It's a lot of work. It might also, some commissioners are way better than others. You send an email and it goes into a black hole. You never see it. You don't know whether the person received it, whether they answered it. And some people respond right away. Hey, thank you, got it. That's all I need to know, that you received our email. So maybe you're getting paid a little more, maybe you'll answer an email. I don't know. And number 13, the last item I'll just go to, is I'm a fiscal conservative. I agree with holding spending down. You can't have runaway spending, but I agree with taking off this cap and doing some type of percentage because we've got the 3 hotels coming, another development over here, and then the beach walk that Patrick spoke about several times. You're going to add a lot of extra cost, extra maintenance, extra garbage, extra recycle, extra roads, sewers, etc. I just think limiting that is a drastic mistake. I don't agree with spending more money than we have to, but I think it's important that we do something and not limit ourselves. And we'll trust the commissioners and the city that they'll do a good job in setting the proper tax rate. I'm not even going to comment on the discussion that Mr. Craig and you guys had, because you lost me. I need to see it on a piece of paper. I'm an engineer. So I was not able to follow that, but if I thought about it, then you guys will think about it and set the tax rate right. I trust that you guys will do that. And that's all I have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dave.
Mr. Mayor?
So we're going to start at the beginning and go over these one at a time with an opportunity to make a motion, whichever way you want. I would suggest to the commissioners that we have heard everybody's opinions this pretty much.
Can I just ask, before you finish, can I ask a point of clarification?
Mine is also a point of clarification.
So are we voting on what will then go to the General Assembly, or are we voting on our support for the concept that will then go back to the city solicitor for further refinement that we will vote on again?
I think that's entirely up to you, but I think at this point in time, the intent was to have you all vote on these issues. There will be language tweaks. That's just how it will be, and that will be done by, and I should say, I meant to thank her in the beginning. Marissa White in the General Assembly has been absolutely instrumental in getting all of this done. She's worked really, really hard to make sure that each version comes back to us and is indicative of what we'd like to have happen. So my intent today was to have you all vote on the intent of these provisions. The language would then be determined by those in the General Assembly and move forward so that it can be completed.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
So again, I'm trying to finish the instructions. What would you like?
Oh, just a clarification that in the event, my preference to keep the 3 million cap in place as the only check we have on the spending in this city. In the event we were to hit that $3 million mark, there would be an adjustment in the rate per $100,000 of value by definition, and that would be done in March. And we've now, if this charter change goes forward, we would then set the real estate tax rate in March rather than in June, as has been the case for some years. So I don't think, and it's even possible that there would be a rollback in property taxes if indeed these two hotels and Beach Walk and renovations do bump us up against that $3 million threshold. There could potentially be a rollback in the rate. And I think that's a good thing. I think that would show the taxpayers that we are protecting them in some way from previous major run-ups in the close to 30% in many of the taxes and fees they've experienced since 2024.
Thank you. Now I'd like to finish the instructions that, again, we've heard everybody. I'm not looking forward to a lengthy explanation of your position. And I certainly don't want a lot of redundancy. With that, I'm going to do roll call votes on everything. I'm going to stagger who I start with, as I've done in the past. And again, the first proposed one we'll be looking at will be mileage. Do we have anybody that would make a particular motion? Patrick?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to eliminate the mileage reimbursement for non-resident commissioners.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to eliminate mileage for non-resident commissioners. Is there any further discussion? If not, roll call vote. Commissioner Galante?
No.
Mileage. No. Commissioner Good?
Aye.
Commissioner Saunders?
Aye.
Commissioner Gossett?
No.
No on eliminating mileage.
That's correct.
Commissioner Thier?
No.
Commissioner Stewart?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, and the motion's carried 4-3. With that, we're going to move to item number 2, which has to do with salaries. And remember, we have a potential amendment on there that all salaries are the same at the next
At the next
election.
election, yes.
However-
Mr. Mayor, another amendment that it take effect within either 30 or 45 days, as seems to be best practices as in nearby Delaware towns.
We haven't gotten a motion yet on anything. So we need to start with a motion.
Mayor, I move that we accept the proposed language which allows commissioners to set salaries for no later than 6 months for the upcoming election, whichever's later.
Second.
We have a motion by Chris Galante and a second, by Commissioner, we have a motion and a second to accept the language in front of us, including the addition that all salaries would be the same at the next election.
Or 6 months, whichever's later. Isn't that what the language reads?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor,
From the vote. 6 months from the vote or the election, whichever date is later.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Good.
the problem I have with putting it through with the current verbiage is that after 30 years of no increase, I don't believe this waiting period is warranted. So, I don't believe a salary increase will be adopted by this board in the next couple of years. We need to get a whole group of people who want to see better results from the board, I think. But why are we beholden to this 6 months? It's a random, I've done the research online.
Call the question,
It's a
please.
random timeframe
The
chosen.
question's been called.
Because the motion that
The
Commissioner
question
Stewart
has
has made.
been called, therefore we're going to take a vote. Commissioner Good?
Well, I'm sort of torn. I mean, if this is the best we can do, I'll have to vote aye. But I'm voting aye with the sort of caveat that I think this once again
Commissioner Saunders?
is a way for the administration to tell the board, we don't warrant pay April 1st.
Question is on the
like
floor.
weeks later, but
Suzanne?
Mayor?
they do.
Question is on the
Suzanne,
floor.
Quiet. Commissioner Gossett?
Aye.
Commissioner Thier?
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart?
Yes.
Commissioner Galante?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. With that, we want to go to item number 3 in the synopsis, which is, how do you want to handle that? Because, remove say, line 3, because we have,
Mayor,
because there's an addendum there, notwithstanding the foregoing.
Mayor, if I
point of order, is the appropriate way for Commissioner Good to have her, should she offer an amendment, and if she doesn't get a second, would that be the procedure of which Commissioner Good's could be considered or not?
That would
Is
be
that the process?
That would be
Because
the procedure.
I would like to
That would be
offer
the
an
procedure
amendment.
for any of us, yes.
Wait, hold on. That's not the procedure. Procedure is, correct me if I'm wrong here, and I'm looking at the solicitor,
Mike.
right? So once there's a motion on the floor, vote on it,
We've already
right? We
voted.
vote on it. You
Yes,
can't
but
offer-
she could offer a second. If she'd like to offer a motion, she may offer a motion. If she gets a second, there would be a vote. The original motion and second, you're correct. We should have voted on immediately. There was no discussion, but we are on a different motion now.
Understand, but just to be clear, right, restating that, once a motion and a second is on the floor, we vote. No amendments until that either passes or fails.
Correct.
Okay, great, thank you.
So I would like to make a motion to add an amendment, well, to make make a change to the language here to an ordinance to increase salaries will take effect within 30 days.
Is there a second?
Didn't we already vote on this?
Yeah, we did, and she's asking for an amendment to what was already accepted. So we have a motion, is there a second? Hearing no second, then the motion fails. Now we go to item number 3.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that removes the mayor's civil and criminal jurisdiction because Rehoboth Beach has an alderman and assistant alderman with civil and criminal jurisdictions. But in line 102, consider for clarity, adding notwithstanding the foregoing, the mayor is authorized to solemnize marriages within the city.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, as noted. Is there any further discussion? Start off with Commissioner Saunders,
Aye.
Commissioner Gossett,
Aye.
Commissioner Thier,
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart,
Yes.
Commissioner Galante,
Aye.
Commissioner Good,
Aye.
and the chair votes yes. The motion carries unanimously. Item number, how do you want to handle items 4 and 5? We don't need to.
No vote is
on
necessary.
anything. So we're going to go right to item number 6, which is referencing increasing maximum fine from $500 to $2,500.
I would like to make a motion for violating an ordinance. We will increase maximum fine from $500 to $2,500 and remove the penalties of imprisonment and being ordered to work while imprisoned.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second referencing item number 6 relative to maximum fines. I'm going to go ahead and call the vote. Commissioner Gossett,
Aye.
Commissioner Thier,
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart,
Yes.
Commissioner Galante,
Aye.
Commissioner Good,
Aye.
Commissioner Saunders,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. That's also carried unanimously. Thank you very much. With that, we'll move to item number 7, referencing auditors.
I would make a motion to update the auditors of accounts section to require the appointment of one independent auditor who may be an individual or a firm to serve for a 5-year term. Prohibit reappointment of an auditor until the expiration of 5 years since the auditor last served. No longer require the auditor to be a substantial freeholder in Rehoboth Beach, and change publication of the auditor's report from a newspaper to the Rehoboth Beach website. And let me go back to serve for up to a 5-year term, which I think there was some consensus for that. So it's slightly different language than what's published.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second with the one change to the proposal number 7, adding the language for up to a 5-year term. With that, I'll start with Commissioner Thier,
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart,
Yes.
Commissioner Galante,
Aye.
Commissioner Good,
Aye.
Commissioner Saunders,
Aye.
Commissioner Gossett,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. That motion is also carried unanimously. Thank you very much. With that, we're going to move to number 8, which removes the minimum valuation for real estate or improvements subject to assessment, deleting what, $1,000. Is there a motion?
I move.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to remove the minimum valuation for real estate. We'll start with Commissioner Stewart.
I'm in favor.
Favor, yes, and aye.
Yes.
Commissioner Galante,
Aye.
Commissioner Good,
Aye.
Commissioner Saunders,
Aye.
Commissioner Gossett,
Aye.
Commissioner Thier,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes also. The motion's carried unanimously. We're moving on to number 9, adding the option to adopt county assessments for municipal tax purposes. This is, again, just the option. It's not the debate of whether to do it or not. Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to add the option for Rehoboth Beach to adopt county assessments for municipal tax purposes in compliance with Chapter 11 of Title 22 of the Delaware Code.
Is there a second?
I second it.
We have a motion and a second to add the option for Rehoboth Beach to adopt county assessments. Commissioner Galante,
Aye.
Commissioner Good,
Aye.
Commissioner Saunders,
Aye.
Commissioner Gossett,
Aye.
Commissioner Thier,
No.
Commissioner Stewart,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. The motion's carried 6 to 1. 6 to 1, thank you. Item number 10 deals with updating the deadline for certification of quarterly supplemental tax list. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to update the deadline for certification of a quarterly supplemental tax list to match Rehoboth Beach's fiscal calendar.
I second.
We have a motion and a second to address item number 10, updating the deadline for certification of quarterly supplemental tax list. Commissioner Good,
Aye.
Commissioner Saunders,
Aye.
Commissioner Gossett,
Aye.
Commissioner Thier,
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart,
Yes.
Commissioner Galante,
Aye.
and the chair votes yes. The motion's carried unanimously. Item number 11, which is changing the deadline for preparing city budget from May to March. Is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to change the deadline for preparing the city budget from May to March and change the deadline for levying annual taxes from June to March because Rehoboth Beach's fiscal year begins on April 1st.
Mayor, I got a quick question, just very important clarifying question if I could. We're changing the levying of taxes from June to March. Is that going to impact when you're going to bill people?
No, it will not.
Okay, great, thank you.
I'm sorry, the answer was?
No.
So tax bills will still go out in August?
Yes. So this is just when you, the Board of Commissioners, set the tax rate because we want to align that with the budget. So if we budget X amount for property taxes, that aligns.
Who did the second?
Suzanne.
Suzanne. So we have a motion and a second to address item number 11, changing the deadline, et cetera. Commissioner Saunders,
Aye.
Commissioner Gossett,
Aye.
Commissioner Thier,
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart,
Yes.
Commissioner Galante,
Aye.
Commissioner Good,
Aye.
and the chair votes yes. The motion's carried unanimously. With that, we move on to item number 12, which removes commissioners' power to regulate Sabbath and other proposals in front of us. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to address item proposed charter change number 12, removing the commissioner's powers to regulate Sabbath day, et cetera. With that, Commissioner Gossett,
Yes.
Commissioner Thier,
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart,
Yes.
Commissioner Galante,
Aye.
Commissioner Good,
Aye.
Commissioner Saunders,
Aye.
and the chair votes yes also. That motion carries unanimously. Number 13 references the cap on real estate from $3 million to 0.1% of the fully assessed value. Again, that's proposed change number 13. Commissioner Thier?
Is there a motion?
Oh. Is there?
May-
Is there? Go ahead, Patrick.
Could I make a motion to change the cap on real estate taxes from $3 million to 0.1% of the fully assessed value of the real estate located in Rehoboth Beach?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to address proposed charter change number 13, changing the cap on real estate. Commissioner Thier?
For the reasons I stated earlier, no.
Commissioner Stewart?
Yes.
Commissioner Galante?
Aye.
Commissioner Good?
No.
Commissioner Saunders?
Aye.
Commissioner Gossett?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, or yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 2. The motion carries. With that, the next item, well, we have 3.
Mayor, we also have my suggestion of a 5-year reassessment.
Yep, I was going to do.
Okay, if you got it.
Susan's, yours.
Oh, okay.
And then Commissioner's Good. So do we have? No, just did the language. Now, hold on a second. The motion is to adopt this.
Yeah.
Not to adopt the affidavit and all that stuff.
Right. Motion to adopt that.
So
Mayor.
seeking a motion to adopt proposed 15-4.
Mayor, I make a motion to adopt Section 15-4 titled Ineligibility Based on Familial or Cohabitation Relationships.
Second?
Well, we have a motion and a second to adopt proposed Section 15-4 ineligibility based on familiar or cohabitation relationships. Start with Commissioner Stewart.
Yes.
Commissioner Galante?
No.
Commissioner Good?
No.
Commissioner Saunders?
Yes.
Commissioner Gossett?
Yes.
Commissioner Thier?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to 2. The motion carries. With that, we go to the next proposed charter change offered by Commissioner Gossett, which is in reference to, I'll let you restate it.
Based on state recommendations for, that have been made to the counties of a 5-year reassessment, that we also adopt a 5-year reassessment, citywide 5-year reassessment.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to adopt a 5-year property tax reassessment program. We'll start with Commissioner Galante.
Aye.
Commissioner Good?
No, based on the potential, once refined, to use the county assessments. I'm not saying right away, but I vote no against this.
Commissioner Saunders?
Yes.
Commissioner Gossett?
Yes.
Commissioner Thier?
Yes.
Commissioner Stewart?
Yes.
The chair votes yes, and that is a 6-1 approval of that motion. With that, we have Suzanne's motion. You want to state it clearly?
My motion asks that there be imposed, at the moment, it could be rescinded at some point, a $1 million borrowing limit on the Board of Commissioners to take out additional debt. There needs to be some language that.
I'm looking for a motion.
Okay, but with the,
I'm looking
with the
for a motion.
exception, I'm making a motion to impose a $1 million borrowing limit with the exception of calamities and natural disasters. That So this would replace the current $6 million borrowing limit in the current charter.
Thank you. Is there a second? Hearing no second, the motion fails. With that, good job, gang. I'm glad to get through it. Thank you very much. With that, we're going to move right along.
Mayor, if I may,
Commissioner
just a question.
Patrick, yes.
If we have other just technical cleanups language within the charter, may we share that with the city solicitor for future inclusion?
Do that directly.
Thank you.
Yeah, because it does mention technical cleanups, and
Thank you.
giving them directly would be fine. With that, that concludes old business. With new business, we have two items. Item A is discussion and possible consideration of appointment of Frederick Schranck to fill seat vacated by former commission member Jim Ellison, such term ending September 18th, 2026. Jim Ellison was appointed recently to the Rehoboth Beach Historic, or Boardwalk Historic Designation Task Force, and that's where he wanted to devote his and concentrate his time, so he withdrew from membership on the Planning Commission. Frederick Schranck actually applied many months ago, so we looked backwards into applications. Mr. Schranck was the primary attorney for the Delaware Department of Transportation for over 27 years, retiring as Senior Deputy Attorney General 5 in March 2015. His nomination by me is approved by the Planning Commission Chair and Co-Chair. With that, I would entertain a motion to appoint Frederick Schranck to fill the seat vacated by Jim Ellison.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to consider the appointment of Frederick Schranck to fill the seat vacated by former Planning Commissioner Jim Ellison. Such term is ending September 18, 2026.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Oh, I lost all my public members, so I'm not going to ask them. We have a motion and a second to appoint Frederick Schranck to fill the seat vacated by Jim Ellison. Is there any further discussion? If not, a group vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Well, let's see. No, that's all right. We're asking for a vote on appointing Frederick Schranck.
Read his resume, looks great, aye.
Aye. So we've got a note that Susan Stewart, commissioners.
Just say aye.
We're entertaining votes on appointing Frederick Schranck to the Planning Commission. Everybody's voted
Yes.
yes. Okay, so we now have a unanimous vote. Thank you very much. And the last bit of new business is discussion and possible consideration of appointing Commissioner Susan Stewart to the Clear Space Theater Company liaison position. I understand Commissioner Stewart came to Taylor and suggested such a position, and thought that was a good idea. I have had personal thoughts on what the value is of some of these liaison positions, in that the old days, they used to come up and do some of the reporting for everybody, and now that we have written reports, is it as valued? I don't know, but I'm willing to go forward with it. So
Mr. Mayor?
would like.
Clarification on this. Some of us probably recall that Commissioner Fear was brought into negotiations with Clear Space. I'm just a little confused as to why we have certain commissioners involved, and in this case, heavier involvement in a situation where I think most, if not all of us, have agreed to lease the land to Clear Space beginning in 2030. But there are a lot of other conditions and terms which have been thrown around by various people. And I just am concerned that one commissioner would be privy to these negotiations before the rest of us, which is what actually happened in August when Commissioner Thayer was the only one to have been part of some of the discussions, but then Ms. Ogden and Mr. Tedder were the only ones to be part of the really meaningful final discussion. So
Thank you.
I'd like Commissioner Stewart maybe to clarify what she sees as her role and whether there'll be full transparency about any promises made without the approval of the full commission.
This is not a debate. We hear your cautions, and it'll depend upon if anybody makes a motion or not and what the outcome of the vote is. You want to say something, Commissioner?
Yes, thank you. I wanted to say that I was interested, and I did approach Taylor about the position. I felt that my background as having been a member of the Planning Commission gave me relevant expertise, as well as being a lawyer and a financial advisor. I thought all those attributes would be important in helping negotiate, and I will have no authority beyond what any other commissioner would, and cannot bind the city to anything and wouldn't do that. So I'm hoping to advance the collaborative process of representing the interests of the city in the way that serves our needs and the needs of our community. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. One of my,
Mr. Mayor, may I just explain why? I want to have some reassurance because the average visitor and property owner in Rehoboth Beach is not necessarily highly vested in performing arts. So I don't want a situation where taxpayers end up subsidizing a theater at a higher level than is warranted, given that it's just a small subset of property owners and visitors who generate the revenue for this city, who may put the value of a community theater at a extremely high level. So I'm just hoping we don't get into a situation where we continue to subsidize things that are only of value to some people. And I believe the charter does not have us subsidizing
I'm sorry,
non-essential services, which seems to be the route we've taken in recent years.
Suzanne, I'm sorry, you're straying again.
Mayor.
She has no power. Would you entertain a motion?
Mayor, may I make a motion to appoint Commissioner Susan Stewart to the Clear Space Theater Company liaison position?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to appoint Commissioner Susan Stewart to a liaison position with Clear Space Theater Company. Is there further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? And the motion's carried. With that, review future meeting dates. Friday, February 20th, 9 a.m. budget meeting number 3 and 2 p.m. regular meeting. There are no members of the public present, so there's no need to call for citizen comment. Commissioner announcements. Notice I changed the title here to abbreviated. This is just announcements. It's not to talk about future agenda topics or anything. Are there any announcements?
Mr.
I just
Mayor?
want to remind everybody that
Mr.
today
Mayor, I have
at
a-
2, we have a budget meeting.
Mr. Mayor?
Commissioner Good.
I have been in discussions with the city manager and the city solicitor, as well as the mayor, and I'm getting no feedback. And I believe they have chosen to file ethics violations against me, which are baseless, which are based on hearsay in one case. And I have asked them to withdraw. Fortunately, the Public Integrity Commission in Dover decided in my favor that I had committed no wrong. In the other case, it's pending in the sense that the Public Integrity Commission thinks there are future developments which need to evolve before they could make a decision. I believe I've been falsely accused of saying things to people which I never said, and that they are unethical in filing this complaint, which I think their motivation is to sideline me and to suppress all oversight questions of what's going on in this city. And I asked them to withdraw that complaint, And they have not only not withdrawn it, but not responded to me as to why they think that second complaint has merit.
First of all, Commissioner, you have a lot of inaccuracies in there that are hard to tolerate. With that, no other business to conduct. I adjourn this meeting at 11:10 a.m. Thank you.